Hi, my name is Quavel and I'm a Bedrock Redstoner, and I would love to share some of my contraptions with you. Now today it's my first YouTube video and I've chosen a project based on a carnival, the shooting gallery at the carnivals. That's where you got the tin discs and you shoot them down, they fall down flat. I want to see if I can reproduce that in Minecraft. This is what I've got in mind. I've got a target block on top of an extended piston. I throw something at the target block, piston drops. That's what I want to achieve. Now, my first issue is, while that target block is on top of the piston, I can't pick up redstone from it anywhere. I will have to build a wall behind it and pick up the signal from the back. Second problem, the target block itself does not have a strong powering face. For example, if I put a redstone torch here, shoot at it, it's not powering the torch. It's only doing soft power to this block here, which means I need to have a redstone mechanism to pick it up. For example, this piston. So if I shoot at it, it fires a piston. I will then have to pick up this signal, feed it round to this piston to bring it down. Now for the target block and the piston to stay down, I need a simple toggle system, and this is one of the simplest. I have two pistons pushing a redstone block. I push one piston, I create the redstone circuit, and move the other, breaks it. Simple. And this is what I've incorporated here. When I shoot the target block, the piston will push the redstone into powering this piston. This redstone will move away, breaking the circuit, and this piston will come down. Simple. If I need to reset, I just need to power the piston at the back, push the redstone back here, or reset. And this is simple enough that I can chain these all together next to each other and just power all these pistons to reset every one. For my next design, I have actually gone with something that's very unique to Bedrock. I actually have a redstone torch coming off of a piston. Let me explain. As I said earlier, a redstone torch will not change when the block is softly powered. However, that is different when that block is a piston. As I power the piston on and off, you can see the torch is powering on and off. This is unique to Bedrock. What's also interesting, the piston doesn't need to actually move for this to take effect. And as you can see, I have used that system at the top here. As I hit that target block, the piston will not move, but it will turn that redstone torch off and affect the piston here. Now this is a different toggle from before, so let me explain that one. Unlike the toggle that I demonstrated earlier, where you power a piston to move the block, in this case the pistons are always powered, but I actually remove the power to move the block. This is something in Bedrock where pistons are constantly being pushed while powered. So all I'm doing is releasing the power for a split second, allowing the other piston to take place. So you can see that's what I've used here. So this piston is constantly being pushed down. This piston is constantly being pushed up, but it can't push while this one is down. All I need to do, shoot at the target block, momently power off, this piston gets to push up. And there, the machine is working the same as the other, just in a reverse fashion. I just power, or rather remove the power from this piston briefly, and it resets. For my next idea, I have turned to a very common toggle system using two droppers facing each other. In one dropper, I have an item, in this case my snowball. In the other, it's empty. By powering a dropper, it will pass the item to the other. This is picked up by the comparator at the back. If I power the other dropper, it passes back. I can do the same thing with hoppers. Hoppers will hold on to an item while it's being powered, so all I need to do is drop the power, it passes the snowball over, drop the power of the other one, passes back. The great thing here is I can combine both, so if I power this dropper, it's passed to the hopper, unpower the hopper, it's passed back. And this is what I've done with the design here. So I've stuck with the piston with redstone torch, but that's powering the hopper, holding onto the item, Once the target block is hit, that item will be released into the dropper. This will bring up this comparator. This will then turn the redstone torch off and unpower the piston. There. And all I need to do is reset is to apply a power to the dropper. Now, before I move on, there's a couple of things I don't like about this design. First, it's a bit bulky. I think I can make it smaller, but at least it demonstrates the principle. Second, the use of the redstone dust. Unfortunately, that means that I can't put two of these side by side. If I can, I would like to avoid using redstone dust. For my next idea, it occurred to me that I didn't really need to use a piston and a redstone torch. Why not just power the dropper directly? So here, target block powers the dropper, passes the item over, powers the comparator, unpowers the torch, which then in turn drops the piston. There. And if I want to reset, I just need to power up the other dropper. I did say I didn't want to use any redstone, but firstly, I can replace this one with a repeater, and that will work the same. And secondly, well, I've still got a bit of redstone here, but it's only getting a power of 1. So if I drop that down, add some redstone, you can see this one is still unpowered. I can put several of these together and they only power the one redstone which is directly behind them. So this will work if I want to put several of them tightly together. This design is very much based on the previous one, except I have placed the two droppers one above the other. The snowball is in the top dropper, and the comparator is picking that up and powering the piston. When I shoot the target, snowball drops, and everything unpowers. To reset, all I need to do is power this dropper here. Fortunately, part of the circuit is powering this block here, which will power the dropper. So I just need to power this block here. For my next idea, I've gone with an observer watching another redstone block. This will fire this piston, move the redstone, just like we've done in other circuits. Now this block can be one of many. In this case, I've chosen a dropper. It's empty, but it will trigger an observer when powered. Now you may have noticed the piston fired twice. The observer triggered it once when the power received and once when the power was gone. That doesn't matter, we've moved the redstone block, job done. And to reset, I will just need to power this piston here, put the redstone back. Now one of the great things about this is that you've got several different options. So I can reorientate my dropper. It is not functioning, it can be in any way I want. So if you want, you can have a lovely smiling face when you hit the target. Or dispenser, surprise faced. Or crafter, angry face. And the great thing about the crafter is it's got 6 different sides and it can be placed in many different orientations, getting a different design depending on how you place it. And you can just pick the design you want. You may have been wondering if it's possible to use the copper bulb as our toggle. And yes, it is possible. Here, the target will power the bulb, the comparator will pick up the signal, and this would turn off the piston. I can reset by simply powering the bulb off again. But there is a big issue with this. If in the game the target has not been hit and I try to reset, it just triggers the machine. It's working as a toggle with only one input and we need to separate it. And this is what I've done here. The comparator is still picking up the signal from the copper bulb, so I can shoot the target and it will still work, but it's also firing this piston up here, which is then making this circuit work. I can reset, it turns the bulb off. But now this circuit is broken. If I try to reset again, nothing happens. Unfortunately, this is clearly the biggest design that I've had so far, and I don't think it will go much more compact than this. Now I went back to the observer design because I realised there's one other block that reacts to redstone and the observer will pick up, and that's the new shelf block. It works brilliantly, just like all the other blocks, but I can also use a simple flat design at the back, and with the great advantage that if I want, I can mix and match wood colours, get a much different effect. Additionally, I can choose to put the shelf block at the back, giving the illusion that the target block is floating. Then I had another revelation. Why not use a single piece of redstone dust? It's not visible from the front, and I can still read it through this block to trigger the mechanism. Now for this one I've used a slightly different toggle. This is 2 sticky pistons that will pull the redstone block. I've used it to be compact and also just to demonstrate that this is another way of toggling. The only issue I have with this is that it's slightly slower because it only triggers when the piston recedes. Now I've found another way of using the redstone dust, and this is actually using the dropper and hopper combination I had before. This time I found a way of making it more compact. Here, hitting the target, the redstone torch will turn off momentarily, the hopper will then release its snowball into the dropper, the comparator will turn off, the piston goes down. And to reset, I just need to power the dropper. Of course, the problem I have with this, plus the previous one, is that because it's using redstone by design, I cannot place 2 of these side by side. So here you have it, several different methods, each one quite unique, and it's certainly not exhaustive. There must be plenty more designs that I've not thought about, but each one is working the same. I hit the target, it drops. I have decided for my final project I want to work with this one with the 2 vertical droppers. Partly because it's nice and compact, but also I have an idea that will make use of this single powered redstone dust coming out of the back. And here is my shooting gallery. If I shoot any one of the targets, they drop down just as I'd hoped. The redstone, extremely simple, nice and compact. And if I need to reset, I just need to power all these ones at the back, like so. But it's not finished yet. I've got more ideas to add to this. Here I've got 5 comparators, and each one has been set into subtraction mode. Each of these redstone dust here have a power of 1, so each is subtracting 1 from this signal. I have a book with a lectern currently set to the 8th page. This is leading into a comparator, so this one starts with a power of 8. I subtract 5 for each one of the targets, another 3 redstone. So currently this is getting power and this isn't. If I was to shoot one of the targets, so this is off, there's no power coming in, it's not been subtracted, and therefore I now have a bit more power coming through. And this is feeding through to the redstone lamp. As I shoot targets, the lamps go up, keeping a score. I've added an observer looking at the redstone dust here, and that will trigger whenever the power level of that redstone dust changes. This will then power the note block through this gold. I've added another note block, this time attached to the maximum score level. This one's on a slight delay. What this gives us, every time I take the shot, I get a chime as the score goes up. And when I get all 5, I get 2 chimes. Now, what would be really nice is to make the blocks move from side to side, making this target game more of a challenge. And there we are. The targets are moving side to side smoothly. Okay, I am cheating a little bit, but hey, it's a lot easier to move the player than to move all those blocks. And it definitely adds to the difficulty. I think now all that's left just to spruce it up a bit. Here's my finished shooting gallery. I've decided to extend the number of targets to 8, and I've added lights and toy prizes to give it a proper carnival look. I've also added some obstacles to make it a little harder, and I chose to arrange the lights horizontally across the top, as 8 vertical lights would have made it too tall. Finally, I've moved the reset button towards the front. Let's give it a final go, shall we? Well, I'm sure you can do better. Thank you for watching, and if you'd like to see more videos like this, please give it a like.